What if your top salesperson was 1,000 times more efficient? And what if a limitless digital workforce helped your number one find leads? A super team working 24/7 on their behalf. Thinking, acting, and solving complex tasks so more deals closed. What if with every sale, each customer felt like they were the only customer? That would be one very efficient sales leader. Now, imagine if every person on your team worked to the power of 1,000. They can with Agentforce, the powerful AI from Salesforce.
Hey guys, it's Erin Andrews from Calm Down with Erin and Carissa. So they say you can't plan for the unexpected, but whoever said that obviously didn't know about Aflac. You probably know the Aflac Duck, but you might not know what Aflac can do for you. For example, did you know they pay cash that can help with expenses health insurance doesn't cover? If you get sick or injured, Aflac pays cash that can be put towards copays and deductibles to even non-medical expenses like rent or your mortgage payments. It's completely up to you. Get help with expenses health insurance doesn't cover. Visit Aflac.com to learn more.
Want to pull off the season's freshest trends? You just need the right shoes. That's where Designer Shoe Warehouse comes in. Loving wide leg jeans? Pair them with sleek, low-profile sneakers. Obsessed with the sheer trend? Try it with mesh flats. Feeling boho? Comfy sandals nail the whole free-spirited thing. Find on-trend shoes from the brands you love, like Birkenstock, Nike, Adidas, and more at DSW.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
Off and running, hour number 3 after further review. Musso in for Moscona. It's Thursday. We're presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Jacob Beck, Paul O'Neill along for the ride, and we are delighted to have you along for the ride as well as begin our final hour. Thank you for making us a part of your Thursday. Well, Thursday came with a lot, from the end of Big Ten and ACC Media Days to an executive order involving NIL, to Clemson talking some LSU as well. And, of course, day number 2 of Saints training camp, which means quarterback battle. Ross Jackson was there, saw every moment, every snap, every play of Saints training camp here on day 2. He joins us now, of course, on Twitter X at Ross Jackson Nola, LouisianaSports.net, and Locked on Saints. Ross, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for making the time, as always. Okay, let's just kind of dive right in. It was Tyler Shuck's first day with the Ones. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, this was the opportunity that we were waiting to see. He had a little bit of a tougher day yesterday, was under a lot of pressure and a lot of duress with that second-team offensive line, second-team defense, kind of getting everything together that first day of training camp. Today, I think you saw him a little bit more comfortable. His throwing stats are going to look a little bit worse than they actually are because he had 2 throwaways. He actually was second in college football last year by Pro Football Focus's charting of throwaways. This is a part of his game to eliminate, negative plays. But, I mean, in training camp, I think you'd like to see him maybe take some more of those risks and just go ahead and, try some things that he wouldn't try in game otherwise. But it's a challenging thing when you're trying to put good stuff on tape because you're competing for a starting role here. So it's a little bit of an awkward negotiation for any player. But I think that you saw him a little bit more maybe composed, a little bit more calm today in the pocket, able to get the ball out quickly. He's got great ball location whenever he gets the ball out, particularly when he's going to that intermediate or deep area of the field. So I think you're watching him continue to take steps forward and progress. The way that he talked about it was that he very much felt like, he got better today from where he was yesterday, and I think I'd absolutely agree with that.
What about his chemistry with the first-team offense, Ross? Is that something that was noticeable?
Say that one more time.
What about his chemistry with the first-team offense?
Chemistry.
Was that something that was noticeable?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys that you've seen a lot of the chemistry with are guys that he's worked with over the course of the offseason. Remember, he went out to Oregon to do a workout or a throwing session with a lot of guys organized by Brandon Cooks. You saw him go to Dallas as well to work with some other players. So I think what you saw is that stuff really paying off, in particular his chemistry with Rashid Shaheed. Now he said he's got to put it in a little bit of a different gear when you throw into Rashid Shaheed because of how fast he is. But, I mean, he threw 2 touchdowns today, and both of them went to Rashid on kind of these crossing patterns where some of that speed can make it really, really challenging to get the ball out in front of a receiver in those situations where they're working laterally kind of sideline to sideline. And so I think that that's one player you could certainly see all of that off-season focus and all that off-season work really starting to pay off in terms of the chemistry that's being built.
All right, Spencer Rattler. Obviously, he was perfect yesterday, 9 for 9 on Wednesday, day 1. Takes his turns with the 2s on day number 2. How'd it go for Spencer Rattler?
Yeah, I mean, not as strong a day today as he had yesterday. He also ends up throwing the first interception of camp on a play that he was trying to throw out of the back of the end zone, but then maybe didn't get enough under it. And so Quincy Riley and Mason Tipton were kind of in that area. And so as he tried to get that one out of the back of the end zone, he mentioned that he didn't get enough air under it. So Quincy Riley does what it is that he was famous for doing during his collegiate time at both Middle Tennessee and Louisville, and got himself the first interception of camp. And so I think that the next play, though, is really a big part of what you're looking for these quarterbacks. And this was something that Kellen Moore talked about, that quarterbacks are going to throw interceptions, but what's more important to him are how these guys respond. So the very next play, he comes in and these team drills, red zone drills, he runs in for a touchdown right after that. So I think that what you saw was a really clean day up until the interception, but then an immediate response to that, getting back in and finding his way into the end zone. So these guys, I think, are going back and forth. I would consider it neck and neck after 2 days, but I think that's what you would hope to see after the first 2 days of camp.
For sure. I want to ask you something about Jake Haener, too, momentarily, but you mentioned Rattler running it in. Through 2 days, have you noticed more mobility out of these quarterbacks? Like, is that something that Kellen Moore really, really wants? I mean, obviously, he comes a year ago with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple of things that kind of lend itself to exactly that. The first thing is that yesterday, the first day of training camp, we saw 2 designed runs, it looked like, for Spencer Rattler. So that's one thing. The other thing is today, Tyler Shuck was kind of talking about how, there's different levels of opportunities to make plays on every snap. And so he mentioned that sometimes it's either now or later is kind of what Scott Tolzien, the quarterback's coach, has been teaching them. And so the idea being it's either now in terms of making that play in rhythm, getting the ball out and making the play, or it's later after you've extended the play. So he talked a lot about second action plays. And so when you get those opportunities to kind of scramble, get outside and extend the play, then you have another opportunity to go out there and get that ball somewhere where you can, move it downfield or throw the football away. And so it's a lot of kind of negotiating those. But all of those are also examples of utilizing athleticism and utilizing the rushing ability or movement ability of both of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be like a, take off, carry the ball and run type deal. Okay, Jake Haener, reading the tea leaves a little bit today, Ross, tweets, some reports. It looked like Jake Haener had a pretty solid day out there. I know Kellen Moore said he's going to get some action with the ones in some capacity on Friday. What have you made 2 days so far with Jake Haener?
Yeah, look, I actually think that Jake was the more consistent quarterback out of the 3 today that threw passes. But I think that this quarterback conversation is very much firmly in between Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler, right? Like we're not gonna pretend here, And so I think that the organization has been very firm that this is a 3-man race. This very much still feels like a 2-man race, even down to the idea that Spencer Rattler got the first crack at first team drills because he had more experience than Tyler Shuck, which was a glaring omission of Jake Haener, who has technically more NFL experience than both of those guys going into his 3rd year while Rattler's going into his 2nd and Shuck is going into his 1st. So I think the context of action kind of shows you where everything is, but I don't think any of that bothers Jake Haener. Jake Haener is supremely confident. It's one of the things I've always credited him with. And he's a really cerebral player. And he talked about that in his post-game presser today, that, he always has been the underdog. He's always been in quarterback competitions, and he's never been picked to win the quarterback competitions, but he has often won those quarterback competitions. I think that will change in this situation. But I think that what you continue to see from Jake Haener is a comfortable player who's really, really smart, who sees the field well, and is certainly very quick and decisive. That was always a big thing last year. But now we're watching Spencer Rattler be more quick and decisive too. So now you have some kind of combat in that compliment. So I think that it's an uphill battle very much for Jake Haener, but one that I don't think that he minds fighting.
Talking with Ross Jackson, LouisianaSports.net, Locked on Saints podcast. Of course, you can get him on Twitter, X, at Ross Jackson NOLA. Ross, you mentioned Shaheed and the chemistry that he has with Tyler Shuck. How about Shaheed and Olave? They're both out there, both full go. How are they looking?
Yeah, I think both of these guys look great. I think Shaheed has been a surprise since OTAs when we weren't even sure if he was going to be out on the field. And not only was he out there on the field, but he looked just as fast as he's always looked. Like, I don't know how to explain it. You guys know from watching, LSU practices and seeing these guys in action down here in New Orleans too. But, for the fan at home that gets to watch on television, it's so hard to translate how fast Rashid Shaheed actually is. But when you see him in person, it's just it kind of blows you away. And he still very much has every bit of that speed, despite what ended his season last year being knee surgery, right? Yeah. And so I think that that's a big highlight for him. I think for Chris Olave, what we've seen is a lot of chemistry with Spencer Rattler. Interesting that Spencer Rattler was given second-team reps today, but still had a lot of Chris Olave to throw to. He actually targeted Chris Olave on 3 different plays, connected twice on those, and then also had a jet sweep that he handed off to Chris. And so we saw a lot of Chris Olave with Spencer Rattler, even though Spencer Rattler was taking second-team snaps. We saw a lot of Juwan Johnson with Jake Haener, even though Jake Haener was taking third-team snaps. And even though Tyler Shuck was taking first-team snaps, he was working with guys like Trayton Welsh in the first team. So it's still a lot of shuffling around that's happening with these players. But I think that the chemistry and the comfort level that you see from both Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave with the 2 top young quarterbacks, I think is really, really notable. And you're seeing sort of all that offseason work that those guys put in Oregon and Arizona and Dallas, all kind of culminating here in New Orleans, where it doesn't look like they've been apart from one another since mini camps.
Let's get a few on the defense here real fast, Ross, before I let you go. The red zone period today, it looked like the defense kind of dominated that. Correct me if I'm wrong, the only touchdown they allowed was the one to Shaheed from Tyler Shuck. How much of that was the defense being really good, or how much of it was maybe the offense not executing at the highest level?
Yeah, look, I think when we talk about the NFL game, we're talking about a game that's very much catered to offense. Yeah. And so I think in any time that you see a defense stand up and perform in a red zone and in practices and things like that is very much all about what the defense did. And I think that's...
if you can find the joy in the small moment, life will always be that much more fun. That's what Hello's oral and personal care products are all about. They take the mundane of every day and inject it with some everyday yay. Take Hello's anti-plaque and whitening fluoride-free toothpaste, for instance. It will brighten your routine and delight your senses with a formula that's equal parts fresh, friendly, and has plaque-fighting power. Or see the difference that a whitening toothpaste powered by vitamin C can do for your smile with Hello's Vitamin C Whitening Fluoride Toothpaste. With thoughtful and fun products that can make brushing your teeth feel like a confetti-filled bathroom dance party. So say hello to happy, to making the most of every moment. Say hello to a vegan, cruelty-free, and never tested on animals toothpaste. And say so long to dyes, parabens, artificial sweeteners and flavors, and other things you can do without. Visit HelloProducts.com and let Hello add some everyday yay into your life.
You're great at protecting your own personal information. You probably even use things like two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN. But as much as you try to be in control of how your information is protected, there are lots of places that also have it, and they might not be as careful as you are. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second for identity threats. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock US-based restoration specialist will help solve identity theft issues on your behalf, guaranteed or your money back. Plus, all LifeLock plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, meaning LifeLock will reimburse you up to the limits of your plan if you lose money due to identity theft. You might not be able to control how others handle your personal information, but you can help protect it with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code IHEART or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
Symbolized pretty well in a couple of different things. The first of which being pass rush. We continue to see guys like, Chase Young get into the backfield. Chris Rumpf could remain both days. Chris Rumph has flashed, a guy that doesn't get a lot of shine as one of those edge rushers that was added this offseason. Seeing some guys from the defensive interior get into the backfield like Nathan Shepard. And then, of course, the big interception by Quincy Riley. But on top of that, we also saw two times today that a ball was punched out. One time the play might have already been dead, but it's still something that like coaches will still look at on tape and say, hey, don't let that happen a fraction of a second earlier, because then it would have been a fumble. And then yesterday we saw Cam Akers, get a ball punched out by DeMarco Jackson and recovered by Christian Boyd. And so I think you're just seeing a really like the entire identity or personality or philosophy of that Brandon Staley defense is to attack. And we're already watching a defense that's ready to attack. So I give them a lot of credit for their performance, especially in those short area situations where the field shrinks. There's a lot of congestion you have to work through. Like they seem to be kind of on the same page pretty early.
I mean, I loved that when I saw that it was Quincy Riley that got the interception. That brought a smile to my face. I mean, we just hadn't been able to see the guy yet so far through the preseason. To see him out there performing like he is so far, that's pretty awesome. Last one for you, Ross, also dealing with the defense. Safety rotation, was it any different from yesterday? I know yesterday was Howden and Justin Reed running with the ones.
Yeah, mostly still Howden and Justin Reed running with the ones. I think the thing that looked most different today was, of course, with the addition of Julian Blackmon, some things kind of shuffled around. And so the third team rotation included some Julian Blackmon as he's, kind of getting acclimated and first day out and stuff like that. So he's going to start with the threes and then probably move up from there. And so because that kind of created some shuffling around, guys like Elliot Davison and JT Gray and Julian Blackmon all kind of shared some third team reps with a couple of second team reps. And then we also saw Ugo Amadi step into some second team reps today next to Jonas Sanker, the young rookie. So I think that'll continue to shuffle around, but it was interesting. And I'm glad that you asked this because it is an important highlight that Jordan Howden, who, is maybe is all of a sudden the most experienced New Orleans Saint, at least at the position. He was the guy next to Justin Reed for 2 days in a row since Tyron's retirement.
I said that was the last one. I had one more. Anything from Jonathan Bullard? I know he was out there today.
Yeah, he had some early reps, or let me not say early, let me say limited reps, kind of similar to Julian Blackmon, right? Okay. First day, showing up, getting into action, wearing number 58. Julian Blackmon's wearing number 28. And both of these guys got, a few opportunities here and there, but for the most part, they were just kind of, I would call them, very well in terms of the process of acclimating to the acclimation period, if that makes sense. And so that will continue to kind of ramp up over the next few days, I imagine.
He is Ross Jackson, LouisianaSports.net. Going to have a great detailed write-up from practice over there. It's free. Go read it. Locked on Saints, of course. Get subscribed. Follow him on Twitter. X, Ross Jackson, at Ross Jackson NOLA. Ross, we appreciate the time as always, man. Thank you.
Back at you, buddy. You take care. Stay safe. Appreciate you having me on. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. That is Ross Jackson. We'll grab a break. We will come back on the other side. Stick around.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Sieg near Airline, LA 16 in Denham. Mid-City on Don Moore, Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. You know those 4 locations, and what an awesome time to get by Clegg's Nursery because they still have every single day shipments of flowers coming in, plants, trees, shrubs. You want to beautify the exterior of your home. You want to add that pop of color to your flower bed, to your patio pots. Maybe you got unwanted pests like ants or snakes or mosquitoes, wasps. They can help you take care of all of them. Maybe you got weeds coming up in your lawn. You want to get rid of that. Maybe you got dead spots in your lawn. The horticulturists, the professionals at Clegg's Nursery have the knowledge, the know-how, the expertise, and all the products you need to win Yard of the Month every month for your whole life. Guaranteed. Actually, I can't back that up. You have to do some of the work, too. It's Clegg's Nursery.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
As we get on down the road, remind you about South Point Volkswagen, airline just north of Highland, and southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. One of the things that's really worth stressing when I tell you all the time about why I love driving a Volkswagen. Remember, at South Point Volkswagen, their vehicles are manufactured right here in the US of A. So you get the great German engineering, safety features, performance, all of it, without the cost and the benefit of supporting American jobs But even more importantly right now, as people talk about tariffs and rising costs and all that stuff, these vehicles are manufactured in the US of A, so you don't even have to worry about the tariffs and all that conversation. So another benefit of shopping at South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer, and they're awesome people as well. Volkswagen, so much it's a culture, it's a vibe, it's fun to drive, and they're fun to deal with as well. Airline just north of Highland, South Point Volkswagen.
All right, so the big national story of today, if you're just hopping in your car, just getting off work, maybe you haven't seen it. President Donald Trump signed an executive order probably about 2 hours or so ago that took aim at pay for play in college athletics. Basically, what this order does is it prohibits third-party pay-for-play payments. It also directs the Secretary of Labor and the National Labor Relations to clarify that athletes are amateurs, not employees. And there's some stuff with Olympic sports and women's sports that we'll get to here momentarily. But the main objective here is get rid of the third-party pay-for-play. Now, it does not get rid of NIL. The order specifically states that the prohibition, quote, does not apply to legitimate, fair market value compensation that a third party provides to an athlete, such as for a brand endorsement. So what they're looking at there is trying to legitimize NIL. What this does is it basically just magnifies the initial guidance. It tries to bolster the initial guidance from the college sports commissions, which said NIL collectives wouldn't be approved under the NIL Go clearinghouse. Now, it's also important to note that guidance, Front Office Sports reported this earlier this week, that guidance has been challenged and a basic agreement was reached to treat collectives like normal businesses. But ultimately, what they were trying to avoid is just booster-backed, school-backed collectives that were just shoveling money for rosters, pay for play without any deliverable really attached to it, which absolutely is happening around the country, like 100%. And I think that even just really was exacerbated by the House settlement coming and revenue sharing coming into play as well. So what this is attempting to do is legitimize NIL. Now, the caveat is it is unknown what entity will have authority to enforce this prohibition of third-party pay-for-play payments. That was not noted in this order. I guess that will, come in time. That's intriguing and interesting, though, because obviously with the House settlement, that ushered in Deloitte as the clearinghouse for NIL deals over a certain amount of money. I think it was $500? All of those had to go through the Deloitte clearinghouse. I don't know if this would kind of in the same go through Deloitte or if this would be an arm of the federal government that would be in charge of kind of overseeing and enforcing this executive order. One thing's for certain, though, university presidents, conference commissioners, hell, even coaches, they have been lobbying for this for a very, very long time. Some type of federal involvement. I mean, y'all, Greg Sankey at SEC Media Days talked about this and talked about, his quote was, the president clearly has an interest in sports, big picture, has an interest in college sports. He's been at our games. The notion of an executive order has been mentioned before, so we'll wait and see. This is something that has long been discussed. And you saw the formation of the College Sports Commission and whatnot. And now here comes this executive order. I'm fascinated to see how this is actually going to play out, because it doesn't matter if it's the federal government or not. People have always tried to circumvent the rules and get around whoever is enforcing them to benefit themselves. That's just how things work. Hell, the federal government's done that plenty just to themselves. But I'm not here to talk politics. It's not my lane, and I stay in my lane very much. So to see kind of how this goes. Now, for what it's worth, the impact that this might have on the House settlement in terms of revenue sharing happening doesn't. Revenue sharing is a thing. That is not going to stop. Athletes are going to get their money out of revenue sharing. Front Office Sports notes that
Say hello to making everyday routines a bit more magical. Say hello to sunshine and goodbye to boring. Say hello to Hello. Hello makes oral and personal care products that are just friendly. Products that add a little everyday yay to your day. Like a toothpaste that makes brushing fun for kids. Doesn't exist, you say? It's just a myth, a legend, a unicorn. Yeah, it's a unicorn. Hello's Unicorn Sparkle Toothpaste. It tastes like rainbows and sunshine, and it makes brushing fun. Also prevents cavities, strengthens enamel, helps brush away plaque, and all that important toothpastey stuff. And they didn't forget adults. That's where Hello Anti-Plaque and Whitening Toothpaste comes in. It takes care of plaque, tartar, and bad breath for a friendly mouth. And it's made with farm-grown peppermint for a friendly flavor. Speaking of friendly, Hello is vegan, cruelty-free, and not tested on animals. So take your day to the next level, a happier one. Visit HelloProducts.com and let Hello add some everyday yay into your life.
You're great at protecting your own personal information. You probably even use things like two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN. But as much as you try to be in control of how your information is protected, there are lots of places that also have it, and they might not be as careful as you are. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second for identity threats. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock US-based restoration specialist will help solve identity theft issues on your behalf, guaranteed or your money back. Plus, all LifeLock plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, meaning LifeLock will reimburse you up to the limits of your plan if you lose money due to identity theft. You might not be able to control how others handle your personal information, but you can help protect it with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code iHeart or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
there is some language, though, in this executive order that does address revenue sharing. It says, quote, this is in terms of revenue sharing, quote, should be implemented in a manner that preserves or expands scholarships and collegiate athletic opportunities in women's and non-revenue sports. Now, the way that reads to me is it's not saying schools can't allocate the rev share how they see fit. It just has to be done. Like, it's not saying, okay, you cannot give 75% of this to football anymore. You have to balance it out. It just says revenue sharing cannot come at the expense of the expanded roster limits, the scholarships, and it can't come at the expense of cutting those programs. That's how that, when I hear should be implemented in a manner that preserves or expands scholarships and collegiate athletic opportunities in women's and non-revenue sports, that basically says, you know, you can't exclude them to such a degree that they go away. It is also worth noting that earlier in the Trump administration, the Department of Education reversed guidance that said it would consider revenue sharing payments subject to Title IX. That's why, again, I look at this and go, yeah, it's not saying, okay, you can only give 5% here and you can't do that anymore. It's, they just can't go away. And you know what? I think that's a great thing. It's going to force schools to get creative and find other revenue streams to help keep some of those Olympic sports afloat and things of that, where you were going to see programs be cut across the country. So preserving that, I think, is very important, and I'm fully in favor of doing so. 100%. Those athletes deserve the opportunity to compete in college and all those things as well. And even with paying the players a share of the revenue, there should be plenty to go around enough still with the new revenue streams you're creating to keep those programs afloat. You know, it's Jay Billis's old line that he see, you know, point out something, a big revenue windfall in college athletics, and he'd always say, but there's not enough money for the players. There is enough money for it to go around. You just have to get a little bit more creative, and you're seeing that. That's why eventually there will be a sponsor patch on LSU's uniforms. There will be sponsor logos on the fields. The NCAA will change those rules eventually because you have to. This is going to help usher that in, but I'm fascinated to see ultimately what this ends up meaning for collectives, how it is enforced, and if there's legal ramifications, if it's not. I think that's what's going to be really fascinating in all of this. But that is the national news of the day. President Trump has signed an executive order relating to governance of name, image, and likeness, as well as Olympic and women's sports. So, third-party pay-for-play now prohibited outside of legitimate NIL with a brand sponsorship or a deliverable. As we get more, we'll continue to pass that along. All right, we'll grab a break, come back on the other side. A potential target for the Saints at tight end, well, he's on a visit. We'll tell you where. That's next, AFR.
AFR.
If you are thinking about selling your home, maybe you've been on the fence, you've looked at rates and everything, like if you do sell, can you afford to buy the next home? Listen, the market right now is en fuego. I was talking to Darren James over the weekend, and he was like, Matt, this is the start of 2025 is the best start we've ever had. I'm telling you, consumer confidence is back. It is time right now to check out Darren James. Agent225.com, agent225.com. Yes, in Baton Rouge, but all over. Like, I just opened this one up. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo in Slidell that Darren's selling right on the water there on Harbor Drive. You can check it out, 129. You can check it out right now at agent225.com, agent225.com. Listen, buying, selling, commercial, residential, you need a realtor, you need the best, you need Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, I mean, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right. And then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first 2 floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center, and it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having. But they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. WilliamsonEye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
All right, so kind of throughout the week, we've been talking about the possibility of the Saints targeting free agent tight end Noah Fant. He was released from the Seattle Seahawks earlier in the week. On Thursday, Jordan Schultz was first to report this. On Thursday, Fant visited the Bengals and had a workout for them as well. And apparently there is heavy interest there between Cincinnati and Noah Fant. For what it's worth, I mean, the Bengals are in need of tight end as well. Mike Gesicki, Drew Sample, and Tanner Hudson are their tight ends. I mean, we'll see, obviously, how that, visit goes. If there's a deal struck, what do they always say? If you're going to bring a guy in for a workout, you want to get him signed, that day. Don't let him leave without ink on the paper and a deal done. We'll have to see that. For what it's worth, I mean, the Saints publicly, at least, have not expressed any interest in Noah Fant, but they have expressed potential interest in adding another tight end. Kellen Moore did this on Wednesday in his post-practice media availability. He was asked about the tight end room because, look, you got to remember, Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill, they're both on PUP here through training camp. They will probably start the season on PUP as well. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that you might not see them all year. Like, we'll have to wait and see. Those are significant knee injuries that they are recovering from. And Foster Moreau's happened in January. So it's not, you're not going to get a whole season out of them. It's not really guaranteed you get anything out of them. And Taysom Hill, you might explore some type of deal there, right? So it is a position that the Saints still need to address. Now, Dallin Holker retires. You have 8 tight ends. But, I mean, you look at Wednesday's practice, Juwan Johnson's running first team, and then you go to the second team, and you have Trayton Welch and Jack Stoll running as your tight ends if you're the New Orleans Saints. Trayton Welch, we just had Ross Jackson on with us earlier in this hour. He said Trayton Welch was getting first team reps at some point throughout camp on practice day number 2 on Thursday. That's just not a great spot to be in if you're the New Orleans Saints. So, look, again, while they have not publicly made note of their interest in a guy like Noah Fant, that is your best option remaining in free agency at the tight end position. And that's a guy who could immediately come in if you are the Saints and be a playmaker and could really start at tight end for you, and you could end up doing a lot of different things with a guy like Juwan Johnson. He could become a real hybrid player for you there, and you could really maximize his skill set, which is catching the football. It's what he does best. When you have a guy like Noah Fant who could come in there and kind of do everything you need him to do. We'll see what the Saints do. But again, Noah Fant visits and works out for the Seahawks here on Thursday. Looking now to see if there is any type of update there, if there is a deal in place or whatnot. And I'm not seeing that so far. I mean, 14 minutes ago, Aaron Wilson, Noah Fant completed free agent visit with the Bengals today. So that's it. We'll see if he boards the plane and heads out without ink on the paper and a contract. And then, of course, he'd still be available, obviously, if the Saints wanted to go pursue that. I personally think that they absolutely should go ahead and pursue Noah Fant because, man, I don't really think I knew. Well, I don't want to say knew, but realized really where the Saints tight end situation was because all the focus was just really on.
If you can find the joy in the small moment, life will always be that much more fun. That's what Hello's oral and personal care products are all about. They take the mundane of every day and inject it with some everyday yay. Take Hello's anti-plaque and whitening fluoride-free toothpaste, for instance. It will brighten your routine and delight your senses with a formula that's equal parts fresh, friendly, and has plaque-fighting power. Or see the difference that a whitening toothpaste powered by vitamin C can do for your smile with Hello's Vitamin C Whitening Fluoride Toothpaste. With thoughtful and fun products that can make brushing your teeth feel like a confetti-filled bathroom dance party. So say hello to happy, to making the most of every moment. Say hello to a vegan, cruelty-free, and never tested on animals toothpaste. And say so long to dyes, parabens, artificial sweeteners and flavors, and other things you can do without. Visit HelloProducts.com and let Hello add some everyday yay into your life.
You're great at protecting your own personal information. You probably even use things like two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN. But as much as you try to be in control of how your information is protected, there are lots of places that also have it, and they might not be as careful as you are. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second for identity threats. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock US-based restoration specialist will help solve identity theft issues on your behalf, guaranteed or your money back. Plus, all LifeLock plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, meaning LifeLock will reimburse you up to the limits of your plan if you lose money due to identity theft. You might not be able to control how others handle your personal information, but you can help protect it with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code iHeart or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
Offensive line and the quarterbacks, and then Tyrann Mathieu retires, and it's just like, oh, wait a minute. When you look at it and you go, oh, Juwan Johnson and then Trayton Welch? Like, again, not meaning to be disrespectful to Trayton Welch. It's just like, oh. When you go into last season, and it's like, man, you got Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill. Like, just keep going. They're really high on Dallin Holker, right? And now it's just like, oh, that's where you are. So here's to hoping that the Saints can strike some type of a deal. If it's not with Noah Fant, maybe another tight end in free agency that's available, although Noah Fant really is still the crown jewel, obviously, of that class. While we're on the topic of the New Orleans Saints here, we got to hear from the quarterbacks and from Kellen Moore. What's interesting, though, is the focus has been so much on Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, and then, okay, there's Jake Haener. You heard Ross Jackson when he was here with us earlier. If you didn't, I mean, he said he thought that Jake Haener is actually the most consistent of the three quarterbacks so far through the 2 days of camp. But Kellen Moore, this is 8 bet. Kellen Moore was actually asked about Hunter Dekkers today as well, and what they kind of want to see from him as he gets his feet wet as an undrafted rookie.
Certainly develop in every aspect. He's with Scotty a ton during post-practice, pre-practice. He'll sneak in there on occasion. And so, as this training camp goes, he'll certainly get his opportunities and he'll be ready to contribute in these preseason games as well.
I'm going to be fascinated to watch him actually in the preseason when he does get in. It certainly sounds like they like Hunter Dekkers an awful lot. Again, that's another guy that Kellen Moore and this front office together identified and went out and got as an undrafted rookie. That's a guy he obviously very clearly likes. I just find it hard to believe that Decker has a spot on the 53. That Dekkers, has a spot on the 53. When you look at a guy like Jake Haener, I mean, that is kind of your perfect number 3 quarterback at this rate. It's a guy who's been in the league for a couple of years, has experience starting in the NFL, somebody you would really like to turn to there potentially. Could Dekkers find his way into the practice squad? Absolutely. I mean, I don't think that's anywhere near out of the realm of possibility, but I just think it's when you have this competition that you have going, like you're keeping Chuck and Rattler, and you have a veteran like that a guy with experience in Jake Haener, who has been fairly consistent already so far through training camp, even maybe on the outside looking in of this quarterback competition. It's just hard for me to believe that he would lose his spot, maybe to an undrafted rookie. And then the other thing from Kellen Moore today, he talked about Julian Blackmon. They brought him on. Obviously, he was out there at camp for the first time today. You heard Ross say he was running with the third team a little bit, just kind of getting his feet wet, easing him in as he learns the system and installing all of those things. But Kellen Moore did talk about what they liked about Julian Blackmon and why he was the choice in free agency.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big-time player. Julian, he's played in this league for a number of years now, played at a really, really high level, productive. He's got ball skills. He's got a great feel for the game. He's got a really diverse background as far as playing corner in college, playing some safety, and so he brings some versatility, and so we like that about him, and we're fired up to get him.
It's a really intriguing signing. He's 26 years old. We talked about this yesterday, man. He's 26 years old. He has 300 career tackles so far in 5 years. He's incredibly tough. 10 interceptions so far in 5 years in the league as well. And you heard Kellen Moore even there talk about the versatility in college, but even in the NFL, I mean, he has played deep safety, he has played nickel, he has played field. Like he has played a lot of different spots there in the defensive backfield. So the thing is he going to stay healthy? Like we talked about him being tough, and man, he's tough. tore his labrum in the opener a year ago with Indy, played in 16 games and was very productive, had over 80 tackles, 3 picks. Like, you heard him talk about the ball skills that's on display with the 10 interceptions. It's the health thing. Not just the torn labrum a year ago, but IR ended his season in 23 and in 21. So it's a health thing for a guy like Julian Blackmon. I mean, that's why he has remained unsigned, even with the resume and the production that he's put forth. That's why he remained unsigned until late July and right as training camps were being done. So here's to hoping that guy stays healthy and he can contribute for the New Orleans Saints this year, because I like that you still got him pretty young, 26 years old. Like, that's solid. But the injury factor there is notable. Is notable for a guy like Julian Blackmon. And I made it through that whole conversation calling him Julian and not Justin. I'm very, very proud of myself. All right. We're going to grab a break here, come back, close out the Thursday show, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Musso in for Moscona. Scone's on vacay. Final vacay for Scone before he really comes back and dives into football. Boy, he's missed a lot this week. We always joke, every time he leaves, he misses like big stories. He's missed Tyrann Mathieu' retirement. He's also missed, today, the executive order, which, y'all know, Scone loves his NIL, man. That would have been right in the wheelhouse. But I'm sure he'll get caught up on that when he's back here on Monday. All right, we'll grab a break. Come back on the other side. Ask us what we learned. Get in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. Drop in your questions for Ask Us. You can tweet me your questions for Ask Us at Musso Matthew. Paul, Beck, me will answer those to close out the show next here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Glow Resources. If you are a business owner, if you're an HR manager, a VP, an ops manager, if you're the person in charge of hiring at your job, at your place of business, and you're having trouble finding the right people, you need Glow Resources. And I want to remind you, Glow Resources, they're exceptional when it comes to skilled blue-collar workers and also white-collar divisions. Remember, Glow Resources has a full professional placement division. So we're talking about office administrators, executive-level assistants, assistant controllers, plant managers, scheduling assistants, basically any type of office job. Accounting, HR, marketing, managerial, supervisor roles. If you're having trouble finding those people and sometimes hard to fill roles, Glow Resources specialize. They recruit nationwide. For example, they had a Baton Rouge company that was looking for an engineer. They found the employee in Florida to work the job in California. It's Glow Resources. Check them out online today. glowresources.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Brought to you by Parish Construction Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's me and Terrio and Richard Tilley and Joe Morales and Trent Davis and our whole staff. We appreciate everyone so much who's given us the opportunity. Our commercial roofing manager, Matt Pearson, sent us all a text that we were just awarded a large commercial roofing job today, and they heard us talking about it. Yes, of course, at your home, any roof repair, replacement, we love to help you out. We can install gutters for you. We do soft wash, do all of it. But I want to remind you that we are a commercial roofing company as well. So if your commercial building needs a new roof or repair, you're having any issues whatsoever, we have the best guy. We went and scoured the world and found Matt Pearson in Florida, and we brought him to Baton Rouge. I'm convinced there's not a soul alive that knows more about commercial roofing than Matt Pearson. So if your commercial building is having any roof issues, roof repair, replacement, or you just need options, trust me, have a conversation with Matt Pearson. We'd love to help you out. Parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com.
All right, as we close out the show here, actually, on AFR, I'll admit I'm not the biggest trading card guy, like baseball cards and whatnot. This is awesome, though. So Topps is bringing back the Joy of Baseball collection. If you're unfamiliar, which I was until literally this break, it is a collaboration with the estate of Bob Ross, the painter, where they take action photos of Major League Baseball players and put them over like peaceful nature scene paintings like Bob Ross used to always paint on the show. Topps announced this today that it was coming back, released July 31st. The picture they used on their Twitter is a baseball card of Paul Skeens, 1/1, throwing a pitch with like this beautiful, peaceful mountain, snowy like Arctic scene with his autograph on it. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. That's not even the best part, though. I mean, there's going to be Shohei Ohtani. There's a bunch. So, I mean, look, if you ever have just thought, man, Paul Skeens, what could make that better? Bob Ross. Well, this is the baseball card for you. But the thing that makes this even better is there's also a one-of-one Bob Ross signature card in this as well. It's just Bob Ross, afro and all, paintbrush, sitting at the easel, painting on a baseball card. And it's going to be one-of-one in these. And that is freaking electric. I think that is absolutely awesome. Beck, yeah? Bob Ross baseball, we in?
Yeah, I mean, how can you not like that? I mean, it's a very creative combination, I would say, a very creative collaboration. I don't think many people would expect, except for the fact that they've done this before, apparently. I'd never heard of it either.
Never heard of it, man.
That's pretty neat, man. That's going to be, I'm sure that Paul Skeens card will be a very valuable piece.
So now Topps' website is asking if I'm a robot. I was trying to look at the 23 one. So the 23 one, it looks like also had some legends in there as well. It looks like there was a Pete Rose card in the 2023 collect. I find this fascinating and actually very funny, to be honest with you. Just here's Juan Soto swinging a bat. He probably missed the ball too, by the way. But here he is swinging the bat just in the wilderness. It's ridiculous.
Perfect.
Yeah, man. Bob Ross and baseball. They go hand in hand right there. All right. Bayou Ford YouTube chat real quick. Easy E says, ask us favorite all-time dessert. That's easy. Bread pudding. Bread pudding is my favorite all-time dessert. Now, I will throw out the caveat that I am a chocolate fiend. If you put chocolate anywhere near me, I'm eating it. But the only thing, chocolate's 1B, the only thing that I would pass up chocolate for would be bread pudding.
That's a very strong choice. I would probably have bread pudding. It's in my favorites for sure. I don't know about favorite all time. That's a tough one though, man. I don't know.
I love bread pudding.
You got one, Paulie?
Give me some milk and Oreos.
That's your favorite?
Strong.
That's okay. Top.
No, that's good.
Strong. No, it is. I agree. It is.
Classic.
Yeah. And notice he didn't say milk and cookies.
Yeah, he said Oreos.
Oreos.
Yeah.
That's
gotta be Oreos.
Yeah, it's gotta be. It's milk's favorite cookie, right? That's what they say.
It is.
Paul, how do you feel about the all those specialty Oreos? I think the golden ones are great. But
I like the golden ones.
Post Malone did one. There's another
They've done
celebrity
all
that just
kinds
did
of
an Oreo, yeah.
Flavors. I mean, they've done
the traditional.
Okay. Double stuff, Paul?
Oh, yeah.
Has
to be.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
They had the chocolate filling in the Oreo at one point, which I was just again, chocolate fiend. I was like, this is great. Milk and Oreo. That's strong. Actually, I'm not going to lie, man. Who doesn't love that? All right, that's going to wrap it up here for Thursday edition of AFR, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Thank you to Ross Jackson, who joined us earlier. Beck, thank you. Paul, thank you. And thank you to all of you tuning in. Be sure to come back tomorrow. We wrap up the week on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawbillsTire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will always find a way to get you the best possible price for the best possible tires on the road. That's what they do at Shawbills. And when they get you in by selling you the best tires, the cheapest price possible, they're going to treat you like family, and they're going to treat you so good, you're going to keep coming back year after year after year, every time you need anything for your vehicle. Tires rotated, oil changed, check engine light on, brakes squeaking, whatever's wrong with your vehicle, bring it to Shawbills. Let them give it the once-over. And you can always schedule online, so it's convenient. ShawbillsTire.com. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Shop tires online at ShawbillsTire.com. Be sure to ask about the Shawbills credit card as well, because you can save $50 off your first purchase when you use the Shawbills credit card only at Shawbills.
What if every student had a tutor and personalized learning was available to everyone? What if every family had a financial guide and their investments made for an optimistic future? What if every doctor could diagnose you in seconds and healthcare visits felt more personal? What if your business never slept and every customer's shopping experience felt like it was designed especially for them? It can with Agent Force, the powerful AI from Salesforce.
You're great at protecting your own personal information. You probably even use things like two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN. But as much as you try to be in control of how your information is protected, there are lots of places that also have it, and they might not be as careful as you are. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second for identity threats. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock US-based restoration specialist will help solve identity theft issues on your behalf, guaranteed or your money back. Plus, all LifeLock plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, meaning LifeLock will reimburse you up to the limits of your plan if you lose money due to identity theft. You might not be able to control how others handle your personal information, but you can help protect it with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code iHeart or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
Does Friendly have a taste? If it does, it's probably like Hello's peppermint-flavored anti-plaque and whitening toothpaste. Brush away plaque, show tartar who's boss, and remove surface stains to naturally whiten. Hello's thoughtful and flavor-forward products make brushing your teeth feel like a confetti-filled bathroom dance party. So say hello to Hello with the always cruelty-free, never tested on animals toothpaste that's made to spread smiles. Visit HelloProducts.com and let Hello add some everyday yay into your life.